The coolest way to experience Winterfest at Kings Island is by renting one of Jack Frost's igloos. After selling out in a matter of days when they first went on sale last year, they're still available most nights this season. Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast for Kings Island fans by Kings Island fans. That's who we are, and that's who we care about.
Ryan, these igloos, last year, high demand. I remember putting it on social media that they were now on sale, and like I said, just in a matter of days, they were sold out. But this year, I mean, there's a few nights that they are sold out. New Year's Eve sold out, and a couple other nights of that. But most nights you can still get one. What do you think the difference is between last year and this year?
I didn't know they were doing igloos this year.
You didn't know.
Well, I remember when you put it out, it was like there was an urgency to it in terms of, hey, these sold out last year, so you might want to buy it now if you want to. And then there was a value proposition and stuff, and we'll go over all that stuff. But it was kind of quiet this year, and I'm guessing that the inherent demand wasn't there the way that it was in previous years.
Do you think it has anything to do with that's a type of experience that, maybe you don't repeat year after year, that a lot of the guests who have done it, didn't see either the value or didn't want to, I mean, it's expensive to rent that. So you think maybe something like that to just where it's not a repeatable type of experience?
I could see an argument for that, but I would counter that by saying, uh, if it was not a repeatable experience, then they probably wouldn't have sold out every single year. And for the price, and I don't even remember what the price. It was in the hundreds of dollars for the igloo, but it should be a repeatable experience, something that you'd want to do again. So the value would have to be there. But I think if the value wasn't there, then it wouldn't have sold out for 5 or 6 years in a row within days. I think the word would have gotten out that the value wasn't there. So no, I don't necessarily think that. I think there's certainly going to be some people that try it once and think that it just wasn't for their family or whatever, but I would cast a no on that.
Yeah, you mentioned that you really hadn't heard about it. Just scrolling through the park social feed here since the end of September, and you're right, there isn't any real mention of it. But it really there's a lot about it. I mean, it's kind of a cool place to be. You get to get out of the cold for a little bit. They're seating up to 8 guests. You get 4 complimentary refill hot chocolate mugs. VIP seating at select shows that can be a real value there if you're there on a Saturday or a Friday night, like Tinker's Toy Factory, that type of a thing where there's going to be almost standing room only crowds in there, so you get that reserved seating, priority access to ice skating and cookie decorating experiences. So I mean, it really, yeah, while a little bit pricey, it does provide some value there rather than just being able to get up, get out of the cold for a little bit.
I agree. And I have not done the igloos, and part of it is a lot of the reasons you listed, actually, because Winterfest is a 5 or 6 hour long event. Do you really need an igloo for that? And then on top of it, a lot of the value that's presented to you is getting you out of the igloo village or whatever they call it. So, you get priority. So, like, to be clear, ice skating is not included, correct? You just get to skip the line for the ice skating.
It says you get priority access to ice skating and cookie decorating. So whatever priority access means doesn't mean you get it with it. You just get priority access.
Yeah. So, but the thing though is, ice skating is like what, a 45-minute session. So that's an hour right there, and then cookie decorating is going to take you a half hour. You see Tinker's Toy Factory, that's an hour round trip between getting there, watching the show, and getting back. How much time are you going to spend in this igloo?
That's a good point. That you want to see the experience that Winterfest has to offer. You mentioned 5 6 5 6 hours tops each day of Winterfest. There's a lot to see, a lot to do. If you're sitting in the igloo, you're not going to see it. You do get a nice view of some of the lights and things around the tower, the back of the tower. If you're in the front of the tower with your igloo, you get to see the front of it, ice skating rink, and that type of a thing. So that view might be nice. But if I'm there, I want to be out walking around, seeing the sights, the sounds, maybe riding a couple rides, seeing some shows, and eating some food.
Yeah, I mean, let's tie back to the New Year's Eve thing that we discussed in a previous episode. So, part of my first of all, New Year's Eve is the only night that I would ever do an igloo because you get an extra 2 hours out of it. Secondly, like having the international restaurant as a base camp where I mean, I had mentioned before, it's typically warm on New Year's Eve for some reason at Kings Island, but having a base where you can drop your stuff and, in a lot of cases, drop your coat and go in there and warm up if necessary, that's really nice. But that's also for the price is including a meal and is for the extra couple hours as well. So I don't know. I need to be told why I want this. Let's put it that way.
Need to be told why you want this.
Yeah,
Okay, well, let's look at the pricing of this.
okay.
The VIP igloo rental is $225. It starts at $225.
Okay.
Um, and we mentioned you get the reserved igloo with seating up to 8 guests, 4 complimentary refillable hot chocolate mugs, the VIP seating, as we mentioned at the shows, um, the cookie decorating, park admission not included. So if you're going to do this, you're also buying park admission if you don't have a season pass. Um, Dining and souvenir bottle plans are not accepted here.
Mhm.
So there's some some deterrence to it as well.
Yeah, so dining plans are not accepted. Is that just do you think that's just a blanket statement, or is there food that you can buy there?
It doesn't say that there's food available to purchase there,
Oh.
and there's no place around there, inside around the Eiffel Tower that's going to serve food. So you're going to have to go out in the park and get something. Now there are places around there. I mean, you've got the La Rosas with the pizza. You got funnel cakes right there. Um, you can go around the corner and go to the Chicken Shack. Now they've all got different names for Winterfest, but you know what I'm
Right.
talking about
Prancer's
with that.
Pizza, Pierre Noel.
There's
I'm
pizza.
starting to learn these things now, finally.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there's things around there, but it's just to me though, there was something that, when it first came out, high demand, as I mentioned last year, posted on social media and within a, matter of days, I'm talking, 48, 72 hours, they were gone, and the sold out sign was posted on the website. And to see that they're still available, like I said, there are a couple nights where it's sold out, but to see if they're still available, something went south with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it comes down to the value on paper isn't there. And I think that's true for a lot of stuff. Again, for me, I need to be told why I want this. And that comes down to painting that picture and stuff. And it didn't happen this year. But some of the eminence is part of the demand too. Like you don't get to have the whole purchasing thought process sometimes because it's like, oh God, this is gonna sell out. I better put my money in there now. And I think that was part of it. I think it had a lot of forward momentum, but if that also wasn't communicated, then people I mean,
Yeah.
for all we know, they might wait until a couple days before to buy it for, you know, a Wednesday night or whatever that's still available. But as it stands now, um, demand went from 100% plus to I mean, we don't have access to the numbers, but definitely not 100%.
No, that was one of the stories I did for Winterfest on the Kings Island blog, was talking about the experience. Why, you mentioned you want to be told why you needed that. So that was one of the stories that I did and integrated that onto the social channels. And that certainly helped move the needle a little bit. And I remember writing a follow up blog to say, you're too late. They're already sold out. So, there's different ways to communicate it, but you're right. There has to be some kind of an urgency, to that, hurry or you're going to miss out. I think sometimes if something's just listed as one of many different options to purchase for Winterfest in the ticketing area, it gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. I think it has to be something that's almost like a standalone, that you're really promoting this as something you want to do when you go.
I agree. I don't remember how it was done either this year or in previous years, but I will say that the way that I would do it is after the events of Winterfest are announced, wait about a week and then announce, "Hey, igloos go on sale on this date. Remember, they may sell out." That's how I would have handled it. I don't remember if you did it that way or not, but
I didn't say that, hurry. It was just kind of, they're available. Here's what you get. I focused on the limited number available each night.
mhm.
about that and just kind of painted the picture in the story that I did on the blog about, the advantages of having it. But here's something I want to run by you.
Uh-huh.
What would your thoughts be if, like, each night of Winterfest, and there was kind of a promotion on, through social media, blog, maybe their newsletter, but somebody had a chance to register to win one free? That would create a lot of awareness for it if you
Mhm.
were doing this, every week, and then you had someone that won it, and then you have that family or guest, and their friends or whatever that use it, you have them talking about it on their social channels. So the word of mouth starts to travel, and then the demand, jacks up again.
Possibly. Yeah, so a lot of it has to I mean, you have to have your ducks in order for something like that because there's a big difference between what you just said and throwing away $220, you know? So you have to get th okay. So it's kind of like the, gold ticket of a lifetime or whatever. Do you
Right.
remember I don't know what your involvement was in that, but all I know is that they just took a gold pass or a couple gold passes and burnt them in a fire for the next 30 or 40 years that whoever this winner is gonna be alive, because they promised this huge prize and then there was nothing about it. So, essentially, you have to have the payoff, you have to have the prize, but at the same time, it doesn't create any buzz. So, in order to do this correctly, the word has to be out, people have to want it, so it's not a situation we both.
What if you made like a total night of Winterfest? You get your admission, you get, maybe you do it New Year's Eve. You get the New Year's Eve thing, you get the igloo, you get just a big package, and everything's geared toward, somebody winning on New Year's Eve.
I mean, possibly, but it would have to be something that makes sense. It's gotta be like a social media photo contest using a particular hashtag. So it's something to prove that these people will be tweeting about this and posting about it and stuff. And it's not just, some adult that happens to check the blog and they bring their 17-year-old son who doesn't want to be there. And yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
laser focus what you're gonna do. So I would do it maybe as a photo, like, hey, submit your Winterfest photo contest using the hashtag KI Winterfest photo or whatever, and then if you have the best photo, we're gonna award you with it. I could see that. It has to be properly promoted so there aren't just 3 submissions or whatever. But I could see that. But I mean, you and I have both worked for various hockey teams, and then there are instances where the hockey team draws a lot of people, 1990 Cyclones, and there's a lot of instances where the hockey team draws a few friends and family, 2007 Junior Cyclones. I remember doing Split the Pot when it was like $3. And then it was like, well, granted, we didn't pay anybody, but we would have, if it were a professional hockey team, we would have paid somebody to walk around for nothing. So with you talk about the New Year's Eve stuff. Well, the New Year's Eve party is worth $150. Admission is, I would say street value is about $30, give or take. The igloo is $220. What else are you going to throw in there? So we're talking, we're getting up to $1,000 worth of, because remember, every time the New Year's Eve thing probably will sell out. And if you give that away to somebody, that's taking $150 or $130 away from the park for the for somebody that would have bought the ticket, you know?
Well, let me ask you this though.
Mhm.
And sometimes if you give away one thing like that, that might be $1,000 value, but there's enough over the 30, 40 days leading up to it where you're talking about all these different experiences that some of these other things people do start to purchase just because they're hearing about it for the first time. And I'm talking like cookie decorating. You're not hearing a lot about that. So now, oh, they have that. Great. Ice skate. I didn't know you could ice skate there. Great. So maybe if they're going on December 19th instead of New Year's Eve or something, you sell some of these other things and then it all adds up. So sometimes you give something away that might cost you 1,000 to make a lot more than a thousand.
I'm 100% on board with what you're saying, and I think if done correctly, it would work very, very well. But the thing though is we've seen this before. We've seen it with the gold ticket of a lifetime where that was a very expensive is a very expensive perceived value, very little cost to the park, to be honest with you, but there's going to be some sort of administrative cost involved with that for from now until this person dies, you know. So what I am saying though is if it's a thing where it's just dropped on social, not a lot of people know about it, and the participation is very low, it's that costs you $1,000.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Then you
The
have to have the right effort and marketing behind it.
Right, so it would have to be done correctly. Now, I if I was the director of marketing, I would probably absolutely hear you out with this if you came to me saying, "Hey, igloos haven't sold out, this is my idea." But there would have to be a plan. You know, just
Hmm.
the contest alone is not a plan, and you know this better than anybody.
Oh
So
yeah.
it would have to be like, this is how we're going to make people aware of it. This is how we're going to make sure we have the right people winning. And this is the payback. This is what we're going to do to perpetuate it. So that way, if you're giving away Mrs. Claus's kitchen, you're going to have 10, 15, 20 people per night purchase it because you gave it away to somebody else. That's what I would need to see. There are different groups that you could just trust with it. But again, with the gold pass of a lifetime thing, I think that was stooged pretty bad. So I would be concerned at this point whether or not the value to the park would be there. But yeah, no, I
Well,
like
let
the
me ask.
direction you're going.
And let me ask you this: you're at Winterfest a lot. You're there with friends a lot. When you walk around, does anyone ever like point over where the igloos are around the Eiffel Tower and say, "Hey, what's that? What's going on there? How do you do that?" Do you ever hear anybody talking about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. "Hey, what are those things? Oh, I can't go back there. That's too bad," stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, in-park awareness would certainly be nice. But then again, I mean, to their credit, they do block it off so people can't just walk back there and so on. But at the same time, there's not I mean, it's never been a problem in the past because 'cause they've always sold out in a matter of days before Winterfest ever opened, but it'd be cool if they had it like, "Oh, you can rent an igloo, and this is what you get out of it. You get a reserved igloo, 8 people, 4 refillable hot chocolate mugs, VIP seating at select shows, priority access to ice skating, blah, blah, blah." So kind of explaining what it is, and I mean, the fact that it's there is the biggest billboard you could ever have for it.
Yeah. What about like an open house type of thing? 30 minutes, gates open or whatever, and just before anyone checks in or whatever, just let guests go up and check it out, look around, see if it's something they might want to do.
Um, Not the worst idea, but the problem though is the perception is far more important than what you're actually getting. Because imagine letting guests into the VIP lounge, then trying to sell them a prestige pass. And I'm not here to dunk on prestige or anything like that, but it's still kind of like, again, you have to be told why you want it. So I can sit here and I can sell you on the VIP lounge, like, oh, it's so nice, like, especially like if you eat at Coney Barbecue or Enrique's. You always have a place to sit, and you can go
Yeah.
in there, and it's not. I mean, but you don't see that by taking a tour of it. So
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, no, what you're talking about here about, you need to be told why you need something.
mhm.
It kind of is really like a lesson out there for all of, those that aspire to be like marketers and PR, and that is, um, that if you want to move a product, sometimes marketing people, they seem to think it's always about messaging, messaging, messaging.
Mhm.
Or I grew up in the environment where PR and marketing was about storytelling. And that's how you got people to buy the product. I mean, you mentioned the hockey team in 1990 with the Cincinnati Cyclones. We led all the minor pro hockey in attendance, and we were all about telling the story about why you want to come and experience this atmosphere. And then, oh, by the way, we got a hockey game going on, type of a thing like that. So, um, maybe just get some more stories out there, not messaging about it, but stories out there about the igloos.
Yeah, I agree, and it's funny because our experiences parallel, but very far apart. Because you did this as a career for God knows how many years, and I did different things. But I remember working for the Florence Freedom, now the Florence Yalls, where the games were just an absolute blast, and it was the same concept. Like, yeah, there's a baseball game, but the entertainment between innings is what you're coming for. And the hardest part was getting people in the gate. And once people came in, they would visit 3 or 4 more games that season or buy season tickets or
Yeah,
whatever. And I imagine, like, I mean, I remember the Cyclone. I was very young, but I remember the Cyclones in 1990, that one game sparked my love of hockey in general. Just thinking back on it and the power and the magic and the energy involved. But, you know, if you say, "Oh, yeah, it's a game where people skate around and they shoot sticks and sometimes they fight," like, who cares? But, like, if you with the energy, it's like, people were passing toilet paper rolls around and throwing stuff, and they had their own stupid chants, and, there's a
Yeah.
million things that you could talk about and paint that picture. You could Rembrandt that and tell people.
And that's what we did.
Yeah, exactly, So I think that, the messaging is the problem in some cases with anything. And then this isn't a shot at how they're approaching the igloos, although it's clearly not great. But it's I I want to know why I want the igloo, and these 4 bullet points here aren't going to do it because as loyal as I am to the park, and I said that, and I said this in the Prestige Pass thing. You asked me why did you buy it? Well, if the park's going to offer something new, I'm going to try it. I've never done this because I'm looking at these bullet points here. I never did it in the past because, well, they sold out in a matter of days. But nowadays, I have the opportunity, and it's kinda like, 200 something bucks, and it's an igloo, and yeah, I can go to the shows myself. Tell me why. Tell me why I want this, without these bullet points here. T Tell me from the experience of somebody that's done it or somebody that conceptualized it, why I would have a better night, why I would have a 200 and something dollar night by renting an igloo. That message has not been conveyed, and that's why they're not sold out.
Well, if you are going to Winterfest, they start daily operation on Friday, so it'll be open daily through December 23rd, and then they're off the 24th and 25th, closed for the holiday there, but then open again the 26th through the 31st, so open daily. But if you want to get an igloo, there are some available most nights. Visit the website, visitkingsisland.com.
All right. Yeah. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Sir, and this is Tower Topics.